Hi, I'm Carl Azus, and this is CNN 10. Fridays may be awesome, but as the Labor Day weekend approaches in the U.S., many Americans in the Southeast are nervously watching what happens in the Atlantic. That's where Hurricane Dorian is whirling. When we put this show together, the storm was over open water a couple hundred miles east of the Turks and Caicos Islands, and its maximum sustained wind speeds were around 85 miles per hour, making it a Category 1 hurricane. But as it moves west, forecasters expect Dorian to strengthen, possibly to Category 4 status with wind speeds of 130 miles per hour. The reason for that is because it's over warmer water now, and that's usually fuel for hurricanes. So where is Dorian going to go? Meteorologists still don't know. Landfall on the continental U.S. is expected sometime around Monday morning. That could happen anywhere between the Florida Keys and southeast Georgia. A state of emergency has been declared for a handful of Georgia counties and for all counties in Florida.
This weekend will be disrupted by what is expected to be a major Category 4 storm, and people here seem to be taking the warning seriously. The governor just gave a press conference a little while ago reminding people that there was about 10 years that Florida did not take a direct hit from a hurricane, but out of the last 4 years, they've been impacted by 5 major storms. I mentioned people are taking it seriously. We're already starting to see those long lines at the gas stations. We're seeing people filling up their sandbags as well as gathering plywood to board up either their businesses or their residences. This is going to be a very serious thing, and that's what officials are stressing to anyone that lives up and down the East Coast, especially of Florida. Right now, it's not quite clear where this will make direct landfall, but officials are being very clear and direct. If you live anywhere along the East Coast of Florida, you need to be ready.
Florida's governor is telling people to have 7 days worth of food and medicine on hand. Lines are out the door and down the street for groceries and gasoline. The island of Puerto Rico, as well as the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, have already seen some damage from Dorian, and the storm was on track to hit Grand Bahama Island on Sunday. But as far as the mainland U.S. is concerned, it's Florida that likely faces the biggest threat from Hurricane Dorian.
Now we're up to a Category 4 hurricane, a low-end 4, but irrelevant, 130 miles per hour. That's Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Here's Labor Day morning, 8 o'clock, still a Category 4, 130 miles per hour. The cone anywhere from about Key Biscayne on up, still into the Jacksonville area possible because of the possible turn that this could make as it gets closer to the shore. It is going to slow down for sure. This is 24 hours, literally from the coast to Orlando in 24 hours. You could probably walk there in 24 hours, and that's the heavy rain potential all the way through the entire peninsula of Florida, because this will not be a compact storm when it gets there. It has 96 hours to gain strength in very warm water. We're now seeing the Hurricane Hunter aircraft fly through it at 89 miles per hour at the surface, slightly higher at flight level. So what else has been here in the past? There's Dorian, there's Francis, Irma, Jean, Hugo, all of those passing within about 60 nautical miles of where we are right now. The American model taking it farther to the north, closer to the Space Coast. The European model taking it farther down to the south, not quite to Miami-Dade certainly, but then turning it up toward the right and up the peninsula of Florida. I think the Hurricane Center is kind of taking somewhere down the middle of what the true consensus of the models, because there are many others out there. The true consensus of the model is where they're putting their new cone out there. It's an impressive looking storm. It's too far away to show you on radar because the only closest radar would be Puerto Rico, and now that would be above its radar beam.
10-second trivia. Which of these places is largest in area? Amazon rainforest, Arabian desert, Greenland, or Saudi Arabia? Of these options, the Amazon is largest in area. It covers 2.3 million square miles. For 60 days, it'll be illegal for people to use fire to clear land in Brazil. That's a new government policy there. Satellite data that came out last week indicated there'd been a dramatic increase in the number of wildfires burning in the Amazon rainforest, including parts of Brazil and other surrounding countries. But critics, including Brazil's government, say that satellite data is inaccurate. And observers say the number of fires now burning in the Brazilian Amazon is back to normal levels or below them for this time of year.
And as you go out into the airport, it's kind of disgusting really how thick the smoke is just here. You can smell it in the air, really thick, really quite irritating. Took a journey on a plane to actually be able to see exactly where fires were raging the hardest, and when you do hit them, it's often incredibly hard to actually see the fires themselves. Unbelievable. On our first experience, the smoke was so dense we couldn't see the canopy down below.
This is not just a forest burning, this is almost a cemetery, because all you can see is dead.
While you might think the whole of the Amazon is aflame, that's not the case. The new fires are sporadic, they pop up, they destroy vast amounts of land very quickly. There's winds blowing, intense dry heat everywhere, and that really can be very hard to spot, but when you do see them, there's no mistaking what you've flown into. I mean, is this a normal kind of burn, or are we seeing something insane once in a generation?
No, it's not normal, it's totally insane, especially for this time of the year.
Resources are an issue here. You know, satellite imagery is able to keep a larger tab on how widespread the damage is, but much of what people have to do is local, flying, seeing, recording where things are, exacting the location so they can be sure there's an independent record of where fires are spreading. A lot of misinformation and a lot of politics behind exactly where the fires are now and how bad they are. Fires are reasonably common in the Amazon, and the question always is the divergence between what the Brazilian government's saying and what activists and scientists are saying as well. The Brazilian government's suggestion has been there's always a dry season when there's always fires, and that's true to some extent. He's a strong advocate of a different policy towards the Amazon. He says he's an environmentalist, but many critics point out the fact that he's also very much keen on using the Amazon as a resource to enrich the people around it. The problem is so much of it's so remote that it's quite hard to get a handle on what's burning, what's stopped burning, and so there are still concerns about what comes next.
For 10 out of 10, it might have started with a handoff, but it's the footwork and handiwork of this Pee Wee League football running back that gets him to the end zone. Yes, that's a behind-the-back hand switch, and in case you missed it, boom, there's another. The defense had no idea how to stop him, and like the kid himself, the video went from the 50-yard line in Pennsylvania and scored, getting coverage on National Network Sports News. So there's been a media blitz on that clip, and critics might say that after that fumbling halfback effort, the defense needs to huddle and gridiron out its man-to-man coverage when it's going toe-to-toe with a pocket-sized carrier who turns on a dime. It's 4th down at CNN 10, y'all. I'm Carl Azus. We will be off the air Monday for the Labor Day holiday, so we'll join you again next Tuesday right here.